Just when you think you've seen it all, this franchise always finds a way to do some other shit. It happens every single time, and that's the Fast and Furious franchise in a nutshell for you. Let me talk to you. I'm back here once again for you all, doing another live movie review for you good people today. And today we're going to be sitting here reviewing Fast X. And Fast X is the story about the crew. They're going on, living their lives, living that family life in Los Angeles. But their past comes back to haunt them in the form of a man named Dante Reyes, who is the son of Hernan Reyes, the man that Brian, Dom, the rest of the crew, they robbed and stole their vote and destroyed half of Rio. And now that Mr. Dante is coming out for revenge on Dom and his family, and the family has to come to face with their biggest threat yet. Now, I am a huge fan of this franchise all around. I date all the way back from the first Fast and Furious movie. I've been there since day one, watching every single one of these movies, owning almost all of the movies in my collection as well, minus Tokyo Drift, because that's honestly the weakest one in the franchise, and I don't own trash movies. Having said that, man, the Fast franchise, it really kind of rebooted itself, or reinvented itself slightly with Fast and Furious, which is the fourth one. And speaking of that, I hate the way these movies are titled. And then you get into Fast 5, and that is just a bonkers high style movie that's over the top, and that is what kickstarted this franchise to being where it is today. And overall, my thoughts on this movie is that I had a lot of fun watching this movie. I had a lot of fun because I know what I'm going in and expecting out of this franchise. I'm not expecting any heavy tension dialogue scenes between characters. I'm not expecting the greatest of acting in the world coming from these actors either. I just want to go in there, laugh my ass off at some of the ridiculous stunts that happens in these movies, and just give myself a great time where I can just shut off my brain and just relax in my comfort zone at the theater. And that's exactly what I got with this movie. And I know a lot of you, some people out there, rightfully so, don't like these movies because of how over the top, because of how much they went outside of reality with these movies, especially when it comes to F9. I know a lot of people got turned off with F9 because of just how ridiculous that movie was. The forest scene alone just turned people off from that movie, and I completely understand it, man. For people like me, I'm one of those brainless people that loves watching these movies. You know why? All I want to see is fast cars, stupid one-liners, and the importance of family. That was a terrible Vin Diesel impression, but you just bear with me there. But overall, this was a very fun movie in my personal opinion. And for those of you that did not like F9, I think you will actually like this movie more than F9 because they scaled back this movie back to its Fast and Furious 6 and Furious 7 roots, because really it's Furious 7 that really like pushed the boundaries even more, a little bit out of reality. Fast 5, Fast and Furious 6, you had that maybe 1% chance that maybe some stuff that happens in those movies could actually happen. I say 1%. Furious 7 towards the end of the movie, you know, that's when you really start to see the boundaries get pushed, whether you see Dominic turned into the Incredible Hulk, stomping the entire parking structure and it all collapsing. I've seen it all with this franchise, so I know what I'm going to get with this franchise. And it just gives me fun and comfort when I need it. And one of the great things that this movie absolutely does is the chemistry amongst the cast. This cast is definitely a family. You definitely feel that family feel throughout these movies now, just because of everything and how it's all built up and led up to this point. And now you just really love seeing the camaraderie between these characters, especially when you get Ludacris and Tyrese's characters on screen together with their banter back and forth. They're always hilarious together, and I was laughing my ass off with their scenes throughout this movie. The comedy always worked because they know how to perfectly time their comedy with this movie. But the biggest praise I can give this movie, outside of, you know, Vin Diesel's great. Vin Diesel does what he does with this movie. The action scenes in this movie were phenomenal. The CGI visual effects all throughout were great throughout this movie, and I hope they were great, because this movie is a $350 million movie. And if you people did not know, this is the top 5 most expensive movies ever made. It might even be top 3. It genuinely might be top 3. You just see the money well spent all throughout this movie, with all the explosions, car chases, all the damage and destruction that happens throughout this movie. It was money well spent. But let me go back to what I was saying, that the number one positive I can give about this movie is Jason Momoa as Dante. You can just tell that guy was having the absolute time of his life with this character. You could tell, like, his character in a way was, he's very flamboyant, he's very charismatic, he's very over the top, and it's very self-aware of his performance. I think Jason Momoa was very self-aware of how he was delivering this movie, and I think that's what the directors, the producers, they all wanted him to bring out with this movie, as he was just having a blast. He was menacing when he needed to be, and what made him scary was just his personality, of how loony he was throughout this movie, and just so flamboyant and over the top. And that's what kind of made him scary, in that he has all these connections, all this money, and you just see how his mind works throughout this movie with the places that he's willing to go to torture all of these characters. And Jason Momoa was just the absolute standout of this movie, in my opinion. Speaking of characters, man, John Cena, he's back once again as Jacob in this movie. And I know you all are sitting there not buying the fact that Vin Diesel and John Cena are brothers in a movie. It's like, come on now, really? But you see a little bit of a different side of John Cena's character in this movie. He's a lot more funnier. He has a lot more personality to him. And you could tell John Cena was just being himself. If you're a wrestling fan, you know John Cena. You know he has a great humor and great comedic timing with his roles. And you could just tell that some of that stuff, the way he was performing as this character, it was just naturally him, and just John Cena being John Cena. And I'm the biggest John Cena fan out there. So that's why, of course, I'm always going to give praise to John Cena within these roles, because you could just tell he's getting better and better at his craft, at acting as it stands now. And it's just even crazier for me, being a wrestling fan, seeing John Cena just act on screen. And I swear to you all, I swear to you people, I saw the writing on the wall years ago, way back in high school, that John Cena was going to enter into this franchise. I said at The Rock, I was like, okay, John Cena is slowly but surely progressing into acting. How much money you want to bet that John Cena is going to eventually be in a Fast and Furious movie? And obviously, here we are as it stands, Cena's in this movie, and he's great in this movie as well. And with speaking about John Cena, and remember how I said in the intro of this video, just when you think you've seen it all, they go ahead and do some more. I'm the biggest John Cena fan out there, and I literally watched John Cena do his fucking finishing move in WWE in this movie. First, I saw The Rock do his rock bottom in Furious 7, and then I see John Cena do his attitude adjustment in Fast X. What is life anymore, y'all? What is life? There are other new characters in this movie, in particular Brie Larson. You know, Brie Larson, she was fine for what she did in this movie. She didn't have a lot to do in this movie. Her character was mainly more used as a plot device, as a plot cover for some of the stuff that happens in this movie, of like, how are you traveling across this world, doing all these tasks and whatnot, just getting there in the blink of an eye like that. And honestly, Brie Larson, I like Brie Larson. She just comes off as a naturally likable person with her on-screen presence, that you can just tell she exudes charisma and just likability with her face alone. But I feel like, honestly, her role could have been played by any other actress out there, if we're just being honest. But I think the reason why she got this role and accepted being in this movie, because I've seen interviews that she is genuinely a fangirl of this franchise. And I think she's close with Vin Diesel as well. So of course she took that opportunity to be a part of this movie. And power to her, she got out of this paycheck and she's joining a franchise that she absolutely loves. But I just feel like she didn't really have much to do in this movie, so she was just there as a plot device overall, in my personal opinion. Not that she was necessarily bad or anything, she was just, like I said, she was just there. With the Fast and Furious movie, of course, you're going to get that over-the-top action, the crazy stunts and all that, like I mentioned earlier, was all fantastic. But, you know, as I said with F9, how they took it a little bit too far, and this is coming from somebody that's genuinely a fan of F9 and all Fast and Furious movies as a whole, minus Tokyo Drift. F9 took it too far. They scaled it back with Fast X, Fast and whatever the hell that you want to call it. They scaled it back back to those 6 and 7 roots. But, you know, there still are some F9 isms in this movie, which I won't spoil. There's one scene in particular towards the first act of the movie where Dom uses his car to hit a crane and does some other stuff. When that scene happens, and when you see this movie, if you have seen it already, you know exactly what I'm talking about. But when I seen that happen, I sat there and laughed my absolute ass off. Just because I could not believe that they actually went there and did that in this movie. Literally, line for line, and this is not a spoiler, like you can literally picture this lines of dialogue, because the screenplay for this movie is not good. I'm just going to be frank with you all. The writing of this movie was not good. The dialogue used throughout was terrible. It honestly seemed like the dialogue in this movie was AI generated. I'm being dead serious with just the simplicity of the dialogue between characters. But having said that, with that scene, Dom was like, you can literally hear he's being told by another character, Dom, you did everything you can. There's not much more you can do. You got to get out of there, get in safety. It's like, I haven't done anything. I haven't done everything yet. And goes on and does the most ridiculous stunt that he could have possibly did. And I just laughed just because of how ridiculous that scene really was. I can't wait for some of you guys to see it. When you guys see that scene, go ahead and comment down below what's your thoughts on that scene. Just because my mind was blown when I see that one, like, holy shit. These Fast and Furious movies, man, this is obviously a part 1 to a part 2, maybe even 3-part ending to this movie, because if you saw from the red carpet of the Fast X, Vin Diesel mentioned that the studio came to him and asked him if he could turn this into a final trilogy. So this might be part 1 of 3-part series, but for now, I'm gonna sit there and say this is a 2-part finale, and I honestly hope that they keep it within this part 1, part 2. Stick to your plan. Stick to the plan that you have made with the ending of this franchise. And I'm not just saying this just because people are getting tired of this franchise or anything like that, although you do start to feel the endings coming for this franchise and the wear and tear of it's not having enough gas left in the tank for this franchise of what they could possibly do. So that's partially why I say keep it at a 2-part ending for this movie. This was a great way to end part 1 to this movie, the way they ended this one on a cliffhanger, the way that they did. It was very interesting that they ended this the way that they did. But honestly, keep this at a 2-part ending. I'm begging you, Vin Diesel, because you don't want to get into a situation where you're stretching yourself too thin. You're stretching out another movie just for it to be another movie, and then that one of these movies are going to become filler. And then you're just making the audience sit there and like, what was the point of this movie? You could have done this in part 1 and part 2. You stretched this out to be a 3-part thing when it did not need to be. So just stick to your plan. Keep it a 2-part finale. Don't get greedy, and just finish this franchise off on a strong note. You already did a solid job with Fast X. Go ahead and cap this franchise off with Fast 11 on an absolute high note. Go till the wheels fall off. Pun fully intended. And the wheels are about to fall off with Fast 11, as you could just feel it. Fast X is definitely the Infinity War of the Fast and Furious franchise. Just like how I said with the cliffhanger ending, I saw the writing on the wall as soon as Vin Diesel announced that this was going to be a part 1, part 2 situation. I was like, okay, this is going to be, Fast X is going to be Infinity War, for Fast 11 is going to be Endgame, where you're going to literally try to bring every single character that has popped up that is considered family in these Fast and Furious franchise, bring them all in. You're going to have their own version of the portal scene, and it's just going to be an all-out brawl war in cars, fine women, and explosions. That's how this franchise is going to end, and I cannot wait to see just even more of the lunacy of this movie, and probably lose even more brain cells watching this franchise as well. Final note, the post-credit scene for this movie was great. I love the post-credit scene, but if I won't spoil it for in this video for you all, but the rap pulled some absolute fuck shit and posted it as an exclusive, spoiling the post-credit scene of the movie. So if you've seen the headline out there, then you know exactly what happens in this post-credit scene and who pops up in the post-credit scene. It would have been nicer if I could have actually been fucking surprised, but I wasn't. I still enjoyed it at the end of the day, but I hate when media outlets do bullshit like this, because it's very annoying. You ruined a great moment for the audience, and you should have just let us have that moment. Because if that shit would not have been spoiled, it would have been, my mouth probably would have been on the floor seeing that scene. Like, I would have been absolute shocked. But no, we can't all have nice things in this world. But overall, I really enjoyed this movie. It's very dumb in a lot of aspects. The screenplay for this movie is absolute terrible with some of the dialogue choices throughout the characters, but the characters all shine throughout this movie. There's some great use of comedy throughout. The action sequences are bonkers crazy. The ending was very interesting, and I feel like this is a very satisfying part one to a two-part conclusion for this franchise. And that is why on the fish scale, I'm going to go ahead and give this movie a solid 3.75 out of 5 on the fish scale. Can't quite get it up to that 4 yet, because that 4 is that B plus A minus range, and this one's definitely in that B range, just because of the dialogue choices, some of the ridiculous action, and it just seems like so much is going on, because you got 3 different movies feeling like going on at times, because you got characters literally scattered all over the world doing different moves and missions all throughout. So, but overall, satisfying movie. Had fun with it. Go see it. And personally, for me, I might go see it a second time, and when I do, I'm more than likely going to be intoxicated watching this, because it's probably going to be a great time. Overall, man, what was you guys' thoughts on Fast X? If you've seen it, go ahead, comment down below, let me know. And if you enjoyed this video, please go ahead and like this video, as this does greatly support the channel, and subscribe to the channel as well. Why are you not subscribed yet? Go ahead and subscribe. You know you want to watch more of my reviews and hear me talk and rant and be upset. Go ahead, hit that subscribe button as well. Join that channel below, and just, yeah, I'll see y'all on the flip side talking more movies, and I hope you all have a great rest of your day. Talk to you soon.